A very good morning, it's Fabio, and welcome back to another daily market update where we are going to be discussing euro dollar, the major dollar pairs, and of course gold based on market structure, liquidity, supply and demand, and much more. Now, before we dive in, guys, I get a lot of questions. Fabio, how do you formulate a weekly bias for fundamentals every single week? Now, we've launched the platform forexfundamentals.com. You can find the link in the comment section of this video. Forexfundamentals.com is going to help you formulate a bias on the fundamentals every single week. There's a scorecard there showcasing what pairs are a good potential short and what pairs are a good potential long based on the fundamentals. Now, please understand the fundamentals are not just going to say a pair is going to go up or down, but it can be used and as an additional confluence if the overall, let's say, technicals behind that specific pair look good. Okay, so make sure to check it out. If you have any questions, make sure to ask a question inside Discord. We are there to help. Now, without further ado, let's dive into EURUSD, because euro dollar overall has been moving up higher and higher in line with pretty much the overall analysis that we made last week. So what I want you to understand, first of all, is that there are two things that we need in order to understand that the market is ready to reverse back in towards the highs or back in towards the downside. Now, number one, that is right? So liquidity or supply and demand. So this is confluence point number one. Now, then we have confluence point number two, which is also known as a MSS or as a CHOC, right? So market structure shift or the change of character. So these are pretty much the two things that we need in order to understand that a market is ready to reverse back up higher. Because if we zoom out onto towards the daily time frame, again, everybody and the entire world is looking at a potential long like this. Okay, so they draw in the premium versus discount tool, and then you probably also have it on your screen here, this area of demand, right? So this area of demand, that is where you're looking potentially to go long with your stop loss right below it. Now, this is obviously the perfect situation. However, how many times have you seen it that the market doesn't retrace in towards there? For example, if we look here to the left, we can see strong impulse, minor retracement, boom, massive sell-off. And now the exact same thing could happen over here. Strong push up, minor correction, boom, absolute rocket in towards the moon. Now, I'm not going to say that is going to happen, because it's always a higher probability to look for longs at least the 50% retracement line. However, we do need to take it into account and look at the, let's say, direct confluences that we want to understand, okay? So if I look here on my chart, what I can see, first of all, is that we had those two equal lows, right? So that is your, let's say, liquidity. So underneath liquidity, that is also what you can identify as a potential demand zone. That is also why as soon as we get underneath that, we see a V-shaped reversal in towards the highs. Now that V-shaped reversal and that here is demand or liquidity, whatever you want to call it, that is confirmed by the fact that we got a change of character over here on this high. So what we had here was an immediate downtrend that shifted here with the high break. Then we saw a retracement back down in towards where the demand zone, and then from the demand zone, boom, we push back up again. Then again, another fractal break. Then what happens? This becomes your demand zone. Then again, we tap into the demand zone and we push back out again. Now, at this point in time, we've seen another fractal break in towards the highs with this high over here being broken. What is then the fractal low? This low over here. So as long as this low is respected over here, EURUSD should continue pushing up higher based on the immediate 4-hour price action. Okay, guys, so that is what I'm currently looking at on EURUSD, still eyeing up further upside based on the technicals. Obviously, we're overall kind of like in a consolidative piece of range over here, and we are still at pretty much the lower bound of the range. Definitely still looking for EURUSD to push up higher. We still have some equal highs here as well. So I'll be looking for further longs on EURUSD. Keep an eye on the 15-minute time frame. Overall 15-minute immediate market structure is bullish as well. We can see here that we get the push up, the correction, the push up, the correction, we're getting a push up, we're getting a correction. So let's see if we get another push in towards the highs. Now, this is not just based on the technicals that I'm looking for long, but also on the fundamentals, because if we look here on Bloomberg, we can see that stocks are falling, bonds are up as the tariffs sap up the risk appetite. So what I want you to understand and what is key is that all these, let's say, aggressive policy changes that you can see here and that we've been seeing from the Trump administration are having a negative economic impact, says the director of economic research at Moody's Analytics. And that's why we're seeing the rhetoric US recession odds rising quite aggressively. And it's a concerning picture that we're going into. Furthermore, you can see S&P 500 is dumping. Trump also said that he plans to start his tariff push with all countries, tamping down speculation that he would only limit it to a certain amount of countries countries, and this is going to be unveiled on April 2nd, so on Wednesday of this week. Last week as well, he slapped a 25% tariff on cars not made in the US, and this has now caused a risk of sentiment throughout the market. So how can we translate this risk sentiment or this risk of sentiment into, let's say, looking at Forex? Well, first of all, I want you to understand that risk of pairs are, for example, the Japanese yen and the Swiss franc. So that's why we've been seeing the dollar yen push into the absolute downside. That is why we've seen USD CHF push into, let's say, the end of last week in towards the absolute downside. And that is also why we have seen, for example, EURUSD push in towards the upside, because people are getting their money out of the United States, away from US stocks, and putting them into Europe, as Europe at the moment seems like a little bit of a safer bet, as they are still, let's say, a little bit more predictable. They're willing to work with other countries, right? And the US is currently not really being, let's say, willing to work with others. They're just giving everybody tariffs, and that's why you're now seeing capital inflows into the euro, into the yen, and into the Swiss franc. And we're seeing some weakness now from the dollar, from NZD, from AUD, which are seen as riskier pairs. Okay, so that's what I want you to understand here on euro dollar, and that's an additional reason why we have been pushing up higher, and that's why we've also seen further downside here from the dollar. So the dollar overall last week, you can still see it on my screen, the overall supply zones never got hit, but this is why we use fractal structure and liquidity, because above this liquidity high over here, that is where now the market has been reacting to. Remember, liquidity can also be in a supply. And then what did we get? We got this. We got the overall market structure shift, boom, in towards downside. We retraced, remember, in towards this high. As long as that high was respected, for the downside was still possible. I mentioned this in last week's video. And overall, this supply zone over here pushed the market down lower. So another fractal breaking towards the downside here, another fractal breaking towards the downside. So the immediate fractal high that needs to be respected or remained respected is the high of this bearish candle over here. This is your fractal low. So let's see how the market today reacts and what it does. It's currently rejecting the 50% of the overall fractal structure. I'll be monitoring further short opportunities on the dollar still here. I'm personally still interested in further downside here from the dollar. We're back in the range. We're back, though, at a key level, being pretty much the 0.5 fib. Naturally, also an area of support and resistance, which we have over here. But personally still favoring for the downside. We also still have this low to take out. Oh no, we took out that low, excuse me. So we took out the liquidity low, actually the liquidity that we were talking about. So all of these ascending lows, that liquidity has been taken out, hence the reaction. So let's keep an eye on this fractal high, because if we break that fractal high, that could mean that we could see some further upside again here on the dollar index. But if we do see another low break today of this low over here, then for me, it will be a bearish sign, and a sign that there's strong bearish momentum. So today is a massive day for the dollar, as it's going to kind of formulate my bias for the end of the week. I would prefer for this fractal high to be respected and for the low again to go. If that happens, then I'll be bearish and I'll be looking for further downside. But again, if we break this fractal high, then expect some potential further upside here for the dollar overall. But good to see that those lows all got swept. Now, pushing onwards into AUD/USD, we can see that AU is pushing down lower pretty hard. I'm still in my long position with the exact same stop loss. So let's see, it's not looking good at the moment. It's overall still in a range. But this obviously has to do with all the news surrounding tariffs. So let's see where it ends up today. Stop loss is placed perfectly fine. Overall, I still like the position. It's just that with this tariff news, it is not performing as it should. But let's see what happens. It could turn around at any point in time. We have a key level over here of support. So let's just keep an eye on it and see whatever happens. And whatever happens, happens for myself. But that's pretty much that for AUD/USD. Not a lot to comment on it for the rest, as it's mainly just moving in a consolidative manner. Still, the weekly time frame is looking good for further upside, but if it does retrace deeper, then I'll be looking for new long opportunities at lower levels, and I'll be waiting for that tariff news also to come out this week on Wednesday, and then based what is said on Wednesday, we'll have a clearer understanding of kind of like the longer term trends overall. We're now seeing AUD/USD consolidate. This has to just simply do with the uncertainty that is going on in the world. Last week there was some news also from people within Trump's administration who said that the market is overreacting to the tariff news. Hence why I was happy to take this long position. But yeah, let's keep an eye on it and see what happens. If it does push down lower, I'll just be waiting for a new market structure shift again to look for longs from the discount levels. Okay, so that's what I have for AUD/USD. Going into GBPUSD, because we can also see that the pound is also strong. So yeah, pound and euro remain strong against the dollar. Again, that has also got to do with the fact that people are just putting their money into pound, into euro, into Swiss, and into yen, as these are seen as kind of like the bigger economies, which are a little bit safer or safer plays. Overall, what I want you to see here on GBPUSD is that it's obviously still bullish. So yes, we were inside this supply. Yes, we had an overextended leg in towards the upside, but what we're now seeing is very similar price action between these two levels. So keep an eye on it and analyze it. What I want you to understand is that the daily fractal structure is bullish. So here we saw a daily fractal high break. This is daily fractal low. This is daily fractal high. The market retraced into where? Into the 0.5 fib, and then it started pushing again. So it is bullish from a daily fractal perspective on the 4-hour time frame as well. It is also fractal bullish. So yeah, looking good still for further upside overall. Very consolidative price action, but overall I am looking for further longs on GU, as simple as that. No need to really overcomplicate it, to be very, very honest. Overall, also here on the 4-hour time frame, fractal low, fractal high, market retraces into where? Into the 0.5 fib and formed support. So now you can go into the lower time frame and yeah, try and identify those potential long opportunities. Maybe one more swipe in towards the downside and then a long, or just follow the overall order flow. But I am interested in GBPUSD longs. Then we go into NZD/USD. So NZD/USD is obviously also pushing down lower, still in this position as well, running at around half R negative. Floating. Again, stop losses, play safe. I don't really care what the outcome is. Still following the overall market structure, and it could reverse at any given time. Again, overall market structure, immediate market structure is still bullish. If you want to get in on a long with high conviction or a higher conviction play, then I would wait for this to happen over here. So what you would want to do is you would want to wait now for the daily fractal structure shift. I personally didn't wait for it at the time, but what you can see now is that the bearish trend here is active on the internal structure. So the highest probability play would be waiting for this daily fractal high to go. Then you'll form a strong area of demand here from where you can then go long, or otherwise just wait for it to push down lower and then wait for the change of character again, and then you get into another long position. So yeah, I'm personally fine with everything. No real stress whatsoever. For now, supply here is in control, or you just wait for the 4-hour fractal structure to shift and you get in on a long like this. Either one could be fine. Personally not looking for the downside, as the dollar is still, in my opinion, weak, but we just need a little bit less uncertainty from the tariff stuff. So hopefully Wednesday we're going to see some good news in regards to, okay, tariffs are going to calm down a bit more, and then we should see a very strong push on NZD and AUD, because last night as well we got good news from China. If you look here at the news on Forex Factory, you can see China's factory activity expands at the fastest pace in a year. So that's good to see. We can see also that manufacturing PMI in China as well was higher than expected. So for anybody who wants to know, this is the level of a diffusion index based on surveyed purchasing managers in the manufacturing index. So in the manufacturing industry. So this is an index and it shows how strong the manufacturing industry is, and it is looking better than expected. So this obviously is good as well for AUD. But with the risk and uncertainty in the world, that is just causing the pressure on NZD and AUD at the moment. So yeah, any comments on kind of like, okay, tariffs are not going to be as bad as expected on Wednesday, that could push these pairs up higher. But yeah, obviously you don't want to bet on it. You want to wait for a little bit more confirmation. And then the confirmation is either waiting for the daily fractal high to break or for the 4-hour fractal high to break, or 4-hour order flow to break like this. So that's NZD/USD. Going into USD yen, I already kind of discussed USD yen earlier. It's pushing down in towards the lows. Main reason obviously being the uncertainty and the risk off sentiment, which has been going around. This now means that the overall fractal structure is bearish again. This is now your supply zone. So inside of there, you could look for further shorts on dollar yen in towards the downside. Yeah. I would be keeping an eye open for potential shorts back into weekly demand, which is, by the way, still untapped. So yeah, keep your eyes open for that. But I'll also keep your eyes open for what the dollar does structure-wise. So remember, keep an eye on that fractal high on the dollar and on the fractal low to see if that breaks. And then last of all, we have, of course, gold. Gold still extremely bullish, looking for more and more buys. That's all I can really say. Overall market structure on the 15, man, just pushing into last night again like a madman. Yeah, all you want to do is just keep on buying. So look for more long opportunities after yeah, kind of like accumulation phase. So yeah, look for that is all I can pretty much say. So that is it for today, guys. Yeah, maybe look for some kind of like liquidation a little bit lower whatsoever, take out some lows. Liquidations are always nice opportunities to get into longs, as we can, for example, see let's say over here where we get a nice liquidation of these lows with this low. That's kind of like where you want to get in again. So those long or those liquidation events are always good long opportunities. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Same, by the way, over here with this low, liquidate, and then the reversal up again. So look for something similar maybe. So that's it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Wish you all fantastic trading, and we'll speak soon.